Welcome into WagerTalk TV. I am Drew Martin, joined by Kevin Dolan and Brian Leonard of WagerTalk.com. We're talking ACC action here. The Miami Hurricanes at the Pitt Panthers here, Kevin. We're seeing Pitt from -10 to about -9.5 now. Home favorites off of that big win against Clemson. Miami off of a big win themselves. What are you thinking here, Canes and Panthers?
You know, this is a really interesting line to me, Drew. In fairness, my numbers, bit of a head scratcher here. I actually have this line closer to 15.5 for Pittsburgh. So maybe I need to go back and check them. And, usually when there's that big of a discrepancy between what my numbers say and the posted number, especially when a ton of money's already come in on the other side as well, it definitely gives me some, pause to pump the brakes here when evaluating this game. You said Miami did look good last week against NC State, but they still give up 421 yards of offense in that game, 310 through the air as well. And, that's not generally something you want to be inviting on against you this week in the shape of this, far sharper looking Pitt Panthers offense on the road here. The Panthers are putting up 9.3 yards per pass attempt through the air at home this season. That absolutely dwarfs NC State's 7.1 yards per pass attempt through the air. So, you would imagine for as much success as the Wolfpack had last week, despite not getting the win, Pitt could and should do a lot more damage here on Saturday against this 96th ranked passing defense of the Hurricanes. Pitt's on a roll of 4 consecutive wins heading into this one, all by double digits as well. They won back-to-back ACC road games by 20-plus points. Before dispatching Clemson last week and, putting up almost 3 times as many points as even Georgia managed against them back in week 1. So, this Panthers team are playing some really high-level stuff right now. I was really impressed with them last weekend. And so, this line is a bit of a head-scratcher for me as a result. As I say, my numbers are telling me Pittsburgh's the play here, but this line smells off to me in all honesty. And, while I might move my money from my back pocket to my front pocket this time, seeing as Brian tipped off all the back pockets in the area a few weeks ago where my money is. It's nonetheless going to have to stay in my pocket out of this one, seeing as, there's disagreements between the numbers and where the line's currently at.
Sure. I mean, it might speak to, kind of the letdown spot here for Pitt, Brian. Also, one more thing that kept me off of this game, because I'm like Kevin, I was looking here to get on Pitt being at home, a bunch of South Florida kids heading up north. I don't think that's really a bet on spot. But the thing is, Miami had their bye week 2 weeks ago, Brian. They had the young quarterback in Van Dyke. Rhett Lashley, their offensive coordinator, working with him. And sure enough, the last 2 weeks, he has looked a lot improved. That's another reason I kind of stayed off of laying this number with Pitt, at least so far. What are your overall thoughts here in the ACC on Saturday?
Yeah, I understand a lot of what's going on here. It's a situation for Pittsburgh off that win against Clemson. The line probably should have been 14. It opened 12.5 because they tried to get in front of it a little bit because they knew Pittsburgh was going to have a slight letdown after going on the road and beating Virginia Tech, and then that game last week against Clemson. Pitt was my best play last Saturday, and I still to this day cannot understand why people were looking to bet Clemson, only because they had not been an underdog in a long time. They're just not the same football team this year. If they played like this the last few years, they've been underdogs many times. But you've got a Pitt team that, from a talent standpoint, the line is cheap. The way it is right now, under 10. The line's cheap if you're looking from a talent standpoint, but you can only get up for so many games in college football. They came out of the break and they played Virginia Tech and Clemson, 2 big games for them. They do have Duke next week, a team that's not playing very well this year. So if they can come out and play a good game against Miami here, I may fade them next week against Duke. But, Miami went into the break. They beat Central Connecticut 69-0. And then they played Virginia and lose that game 30-28 at home. Then they come out of the break and they go to North Carolina, give them everything they could. They were a 7.5-point underdog, only lose by 3 in a high-scoring game. Last week against NC State, they were a home underdog in that contest, and they win that game straight up. The Miami offense is playing a lot better now than it was earlier in the season. Unfortunately for their backers, the defense still isn't playing well, giving up 105 points the last 3 games. I do think Pitt will have somewhat of a letdown here, but the quarterback is rising in the Heisman list, and it wouldn't surprise me if Pitt comes out here and tries to throw the ball even more than what they normally try to do. the value to me is on the over. I like the way Miami's playing offensively right now. I think Pitt will score points on anybody. In fact, you take a look at the last three teams that Miami's played. They've given up 5.7, 5.2, and 6.6 yards per play. Pittsburgh will score on them, no doubt about it. But I think Miami will score enough for this game to go over. Don't want to touch the side because, like I said, and I think we've all agreed, Pittsburgh's better than what this line is showing right now. But you have to take into account that letdown situation. Give me the over in this one.
I like that, Brian. Looking towards the over, Pittsburgh and Miami. Guys, enjoy it on Saturday. For Kevin Dolan, Brian Leonard, I am Drew Martin. Make sure to check out WagerTalk.com. Remember, Tuesdays is $2 Tuesdays. Top handicappers, top play, discounted to just $2. Check it out, WagerTalk.com.